Week 8 is in the book, so of course it's ready to start preparing, start planning, start looking at those Week 9 waivers. Now, it was a little bit light on the injury front, which is good news, but it does mean that the waiver wire is a little bit thin this week. So it's time to dig a little bit deeper, start looking ahead and start planning to who could potentially be that next superstar to add off the waiver wire. We're going to start at the top with Bo Nix. Now, chances are, if you're playing Superflex, Bo Nix is rostered. But in one quarterback league, he's only 32% rostered. He's been the QB3 over the last 4 weeks. Now, the thing with Bo Nix is the passing volume is not there. He's not looked great as a passer, but the rushing volume is king for quarterbacks in fantasy football, averaging over 6.5 points rushing attempts per game. And of course, he's got those Baltimore Ravens next week, who we know are a very good defense, but poor against quarterbacks. So Bo Nix, the dual threat, could be a sneaky little ad in those one quarterback leagues, coming off the QB2 overall finish last week. The man himself, though, Cedric Tillman. I was giddy last week over the potential of what Cedric Tillman could be, and he went even further than what I was hoping for. He ran 40 of 43 routes. He is the clear X receiver in this offense. He just needed Amari Cooper out of the way. I was really impressed. A guy his size, running the routes, the speed and the footwork that he broke defenders down before making those cuts was impressive. We know James Winston under center is going to make this offense interesting. He's going to take some risks down the field, pushing the ball, and that's where Cedric Tillman could eat. He absolutely beasted this last week. 22.5% targets per route run. Cedric Tillman should be owned in every single one of your leagues, and he's still available in 4 out of every 5 leagues right now. He should be the number 1 priority waiver ad in every single one of your leagues. Another guy, a little bit more under the radar, Sterling Shepard, didn't have a great week, only 4 targets, didn't put up huge fancy production, but let's look at the underlying numbers. 37 of 51 routes run, solid. But he has this slot role locked down. We know Chris Godwin was absolutely feasting before his injury because he had the slot role in this offense. Sterling Shepard stepped in. He's going to get open looks. He's going to get force-fed the ball. Baker Mayfield's pushing the ball. We know that it's going to be a pass-heavy over expectation type of offense. So Sterling Shepard only 11.7% rostered. That needs to tick up as we head into week 9. And this is a guy that you could get out ahead of before he blows up. Another slightly deeper dive, Isaac Gurendo. Now, this may be looking a bit too far ahead. Jordan Mason left the game again with a shoulder injury. Isaac Gurendo came in, performed admirably. But the 49ers have got a bye. We may potentially see Christian McCaffrey back in week 10. So this could be a wasted roster spot. I certainly wouldn't spend loads of fab on Gurendo, but there is a chance that Christian McCaffrey's not back in week 10, that Jordan Mason, this shoulder injury, they're going to actually let heal. And then you've got potentially an electric athlete who is going to be the starting running back in week 10 for the best running game in the league. For me, I think it's worth a dart throw. Again, I'm not spending big amounts of fab in most leagues, but I think he should be rostered, and he's easily worth that kind of lottery ticket that could pay off when it gets to week 10. Before I move across to some even deeper options, if you are finding this for the first time, hit the subscribe button. I can guarantee you won't regret it. Brenton Strange. Now, this may feel a little bit weird. Why have I got Brenton Strange? Well, he was the average 9 points per game when Evan Ingram was out injured earlier in the season. But Evan Ingram's still healthy, I hear you say. But every single wide receiver for Jacksonville got injured on Sunday. Brian Thomas Jr. has got some chest/oblique issues, could potentially be out for a couple of weeks. Christian Kirk, he's done for the season, broken collarbone, had surgery. Gabe Davis could miss some time. That meant on Sunday, Evan Ingram was playing as a true wide receiver, which meant Brenton Strange stepped in and played at tight end. Tight end is an absolute dumpster fire. Yes, we had a phenomenal week 8 for tight ends, but over the season, it's been a case of scrambling for some production. If Evan Ingram's going to have to play wide receiver position because there's not enough wide receivers in Jacksonville, it could be that Brenton Strange is going to start to tick onto that fantasy radar again. This is for your deeper leagues, but still worth potentially a speculative ad. Talking of Jacksonville wide receivers, though, Parker Washington, he was the one wide receiver that stepped up. He was 4th in routes run after the big 3. He got 4 targets on Sunday, and if the Jacksonville Jaguars need wide receivers, he's the next man up. But more importantly, the Jaguars have got an awful game lineup for the next 4 weeks. They are playing the Eagles this week, so it could be another pass-heavy script, which means at 0.1% rostered, Parker Washington could potentially be in a path for targets and should be rostered in all those leagues. Sticking with the deeper dives, though, look, Tom let me do waivers for a week. Of course, I'm talking about Kayshon Boutte. He was one of my favorite college prospects I've ever watched as a true freshman. Petered out through his college career, but after a year of earning his stripes in New England, he is starting to carve out a role. The volume, the target volume, the production isn't quite there yet, but he's led the Pats in routes run for the second week straight. He's been over 75% for the last 3 weeks. Yes, you probably don't want to start him next week with Jacoby Brissett under center, but with Drake May under center, this offense is more interesting. There's more excitement here. So I think we should potentially take a flyer in those deeper leagues, get Kayshon Boutte onto a roster, and then maybe over the next few weeks down the stretch, there's a chance he could be on that fantasy radar in that flex territory week in, week out. Before we get to who you should be dropping, though, hit that subscribe button. Come and join the family. Drops. Look, let's start at the top. Christian Kirk, out for the season. He's done. Let him go. Zamir White, we know this backfield is Alexander Mattison. Zamir White's hardly seeing snaps, hardly seeing touches. Let him go. Dontavian Wicks. Now, this role, it was Romeo Doubs was the X. We had Jaden Reed in the slot, and then it was Christian Watson and Dontavian Wicks were splitting those snaps at the Z position. However, last week, that split shifted more and more towards Christian Watson. Dontavian Wicks is seeing fewer and fewer snaps. And look, if you're hurting, if you're in a normal league, it's time to let him go. Go and put him out on that waiver wire because you can't start him anytime soon. Tutu Atwell, you know I'm a big fan of Tutu Atwell, but with Puka and cutback, he needs to be put outside. Gabe Davis, again, injured, not helping you. Even when he's healthy, he's not producing. Time to let him go. And then Anthony Richardson, you probably spent a top 5-6 quarterback pick for him in your 1QB leagues, but I just can't see a world where you can start him. The passing production is not there, the accuracy is not there, and he's not rushing enough to make him startable. So maybe you keep him on your bench and hope that he turns it around and gets good. But for me, in a 1QB league, I don't want to be rostering a second quarterback. So I'm letting him go, I'm dropping him, and I'm moving on and looking forward. Hell, who'd have thought I'd be sitting here after week 8 saying you should drop Anthony Richardson and go and pick up Bo Nix? What a world we live in. Anyone you disagree with, anyone you want to be picking up off waiver wires, remember we answer 100% of the questions in the comments. So if you've got questions about your waivers, get them in and Tom and I will respond as soon as possible.